Hi folks, Rob Crompton here, an old Lancastrian from long ago. It's great to be able to share with you in some tales around the tree. For me, trees always have a hint of something magic about them, whether it be the Christmas tree down in Dalton Square, or indeed the old County College oak tree, festooned with loo rolls, as I recall on one occasion around this time of year. Let me share with you a couple of my poems. I don't often write poetry, but once in a while I like to dabble between other types of writing. Tales from down among the trees, where there's a hint of the magic of both the trees and indeed of the people of the forest. Down in the forest, where nobody goes, at least where nobody should, through the tangle of bracken and over the brook, there's a witch who will turn you to wood. I went down there once, I was 7 or 8, discovered the story was proved, because a stag was raised up on its back legs to jump, but it stopped, and since then it's not moved. He'd jump if he could and crash through the thicket to rut with his rivals once more, but his sinews are dry and his muscles are wood, and his rutting is done, that's for sure. I turned and ran home as fast as I could. I was scared, like a youngster might be. If the witch or the wizard were there like before, they'd be sure to work magic on me. I didn't let on where I'd been to that day, because I knew how my mother would scold. She'd say, "What did I tell you about going down there? Will you listen? Will you be told?" So I kept it a secret. But I did tell me Gran, because she understands things like these. She said, "Lots of them creatures are down in the woods, where animals turn into trees." She's right, and you'll see them all over the place, those creatures that wandered astray. But you'll not see a new one, and that makes me think that the witches have all gone away. I took little Laura to show her the stag. She laughed when she looked at the sight. She said, "Don't be so silly, that's not a stag, it's a bull." And you know what? She's right. Another one about the forest dweller. There's a woman who lives in the forest. They say she's 108. She sits and she watches the kettle, what hangs over the fire in her grate. She collects berries and mushrooms and chestnuts and boils them all up in a pot. She makes wine with potatoes or nettles or anything else that she's got, with herbs and with spices and syrups. She mixes concoctions in jars. She's got cures for the chink-off and hiccups, and ointments for pimples and scars. She makes potions for women in labour, and midwives come running for help, and so do the doctors and nurses, and poachers with lurchers in whelp. When Lord Nobbs in his castle were dying, and wanted a cure for his cough, there came a young maid to the forest. Their woman just said, "Bugger off. I've no time for lords or for ladies, for dukes or for earls or their kind." If you'll come and he'll live in the forest, well, that's when I might change my mind. At night time, when nobody's waking, she goes walking about in the gloom. She calls to the owls while they're hunting, and the foxes what bark at the moon. When it's light, she comes home with her gatherings, but she'll never say what they are for. She just watches and waits by her window, or peeps through the crack in her door. They say when the bailiff came calling to distrain her belongings for rent, she said, "I'll give you summat, young fella," and nobody knows where he went. You might not believe this here story. You'll think whatever you can, but that woman still lives in the forest. I know. She's a friend of my gran. Bye, folks. Have a good Christmas vacation.